Hello, welcome to the Heart of the Piano YouTube channel. I'm Bob Rose. Welcome to this video where I'm going to be introducing a technique that revolutionized for me learning difficult pieces with fast passages, and it's made a huge difference to so many of my students and hopefully to you guys as well. So when I was around 10 years old, I didn't learn super young. I'd been learning for about 2 or 3 years at the age of 10. My teacher showed me this technique. I call it shifting accents. And suddenly I was learning things like the fantasy impromptu, which at the time I was like, when my teacher recommended it, I was like, I can't play that in a million years. But I applied this shifting accents thing and suddenly, instantly, there it is. And it's made it very, very quick for me to learn pieces that otherwise would take quite a bit of time. So, for example, this is the kind of piece that this technique will learn really well with. There's a lot of students who look at this piece and go, I can't play that. But when I show them how you use this kind of technique, suddenly they can play this piece pretty well. So here's a clip of this piece. So yeah, a lot of you will recognize that as the solfeggio or the solfeggetto by C.P. Bach. There is a reason why a lot of kind of intermediate players perform this piece. It's not as difficult as it looks, but nonetheless, if you use the shifting accent method for this, it's so much easier to learn it. For this method, it's basically good for steady streams of quavers or semiquavers or eighth notes or 16th notes if you're in America or countries that use that terminology. So generally, it's a good technique, more used by intermediate people and advanced people. You can use it if you're a beginner. But if you're a beginner, you're probably not playing a lot of pieces that are like lots of very fast notes. However, this is an excellent, excellent way of learning scales. And generally, at any level of pianoship instead of musicianship, if you want to call it that, any level of pianoship, you should really be learning scales. And so shifting accents are a fantastic way of learning your scales. But, you know, like I said, it's one of the most useful things I ever learned as a piano student. And I don't think I would even have been able to learn a lot of the pieces that I learned without this kind of technique. When my students use this technique, it can be absolutely life-changing. So what I find is that a huge amount of my students, even at really advanced level, even at grade 8 level and beyond and at diploma level, find it very difficult to play fast streams of notes, because they tend to kind of stare at the notes on the page and it's like this note, this note, this note, this note, and they think about each individual note rather than just sort of get a bit more comfortable with the muscle memory, with the kind of flow of everything. So this technique is a very, very good way of kind of making the brain get the music into our fingers, into our bones, into our muscle memory, and into our ears so that we really hear what it is that we're about to play. It's also really, really good to get evenness instead of using a metronome. Some of you who may have watched some of my other videos know that I'm not actually a big fan of metronomes, but when you do shifting accent practice, it's a great way to not use a metronome and be able to ebb and flow as you keep everything really, really even. It's very good at sort of making your weaker fingers, especially your fourth finger, it's really good at basically just tightening that up. So in my opinion, this technique is a much better way of getting so-called finger independence. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but the kind of things that Hanon exercises and Czerny exercises get used for, of making the individual fingers a little bit more dexterous, I get that with shifting accents. It really, really works for me. So a lot of pianists do something similar to shifting accent practice, which is called dotted rhythm practice. And let's say that I'm learning a C major scale, and I can learn it in dotted rhythm practice like this. Long, short, long, short, long. And then you reverse that round the other way to like short, long, short, long. And then you can do things like long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short, long, that, you know, that kind of thing. So many people seem to like this technique. It's very, very popular. I find that shifting accent practice works better. There's a lot of, if you do it well, and don't allow yourself to be led down the path of the pitfalls that I outline later in this video. So basically, the reason why I'm making this video now, I've been promising this video for years. So the new ABRSM syllabus came out kind of recently. I've almost finished recording all of the grade 8 pieces that are in the book, and I'm about to make a whole load of tutorials. Now, I already have a lot of tutorials for past ABRSM and Trinity syllabuses, and in so many of these videos, I talk about shifting accent practice in so many of them, which means I constantly keep describing it from scratch in every video. So what I'm doing, because I want to make a whole load of new tutorials, I'm going back to some of the old tutorials and taking the best bits purely about shifting accent practice. So in this video, you're going to see me boil down and describe in detail exactly how to do shifting accent practice with previous ABRSM and Trinity pieces. Even if you haven't learnt these pieces, or even if you're not interested in these pieces, you still should watch this, because I show you how you apply it, and you can then take that and apply it to any piece that you're practicing. And also, because I explain it over and over, quite a few times in this video, off the top of my head, is it 6 times, 7 times? There are little nuances and little sort of things that I will talk about in one video that I might not quite talk about in the other. And also because I teach this shifting accent practice so much to so many students, I get to know all the common problems that my students have with it. And so in individual tutorials that I'm taking these excerpts from, it might be that day or the day before I was talking about shifting accents to a student, and they might have gone, well, I've got this problem with it, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I bring that problem into that tutorial. So basically, I do recommend for you to watch the whole lot. I think the pace is pretty zippy. You can get through it all. Now, in the original tutorials, I didn't actually put the sheet music up on the screen. I just asked people to open the book, the sheet music, and have it in front of them. However, for this video, I went back and I edited it to put the relevant sheet music, the relevant bars, in the top left of the screen, so you can actually follow the sheet music of what I'm doing. Now, in this video, I could have kind of done, okay, here's the shifting accent practice, 1, 2, 1, 2, and animated that actually in the sheet music, so you could see exactly where I was in the sheet music. This would have been very, very time intensive and would have taken me a huge amount of time. So forgive me, I've been a bit lazy. I haven't done that. But if there's a few of you who leave comments saying, I'm sorry, this is still confusing, I'm still confused, I still can't kind of follow, and I'd really like for you to show me in animated form on the music what you're doing, I will then take the time to do that. I'm hoping that it's clear enough that I don't need to do that, but if you would like me to do that, and a few people want that, then I'll get around to doing that, because, you know, like I said, it's one of the most useful things I've ever come up with. So also, like I said, the reason for this is because I'm coming up with a whole load of more tutorials on the new ABRSM syllabus. I'll probably also do more tutorials on the current Trinity one, and a whole load of other tutorials in general. Plus, this technique is just useful for whatever you're learning. But basically, if you want notifications for when I come out with the new ABRSM tutorials, Trinity tutorials, and just tutorials in general, please do click on like, click on subscribe, click on the bell icon to be notified, you know, all that good stuff. And it just helps out the channel anyway, so more people can know that the channel exists. So the technique itself can be very tricky. People have a lot of resistance to this. In the beginning, this is hard, and it's still worth persevering. And as you watch these videos, I will explain why it's hard, and I'll explain why you really kind of still should persevere and go through with it. But do not be put off if in the beginning this feels difficult, especially if you're a beginner. But even my advanced diploma students find this incredibly difficult, and when they're in their practice time, they just don't feel like doing it because it's challenging and frustrating. But like I explained in some of the videos, the frustration happens until the brain kind of rewires itself. The brain doesn't want things to feel difficult. So you're there going 1, 2, 1, oh my God, this is so difficult. But then the brain will find a way. You'll be doing it for a few days, getting very frustrated, until one day you'll just be able to do it. And that is the beginning of you just being able to play super, super fast stuff effortlessly. So, this really is worth persevering with. Try it for a week. By a week, you should be getting this. Don't just give up after a day or 2 days. Give it a good week. So I have to apologize because some of these tutorials go back a few years. And now I have this lovely, shiny, newish microphone. But some of the videos were just done, with the microphone on my smartphone, which didn't sound great. So the sound quality is going to vary, and I apologize for that. But it should still be clear enough. And let me know if it really isn't that clear. I'll tidy it up. But I wouldn't imagine anyone would have a problem with any of these clips. But do let me know if it's a bit of an issue. So if you look in the description below, I'm going to leave links to all the full tutorials that these clips come from, and also links to the performances where you can see the whole performances of the pieces that these clips come from. So one more thing. I currently have a few more slots available for online students. So if you'd like online lessons, do contact me and the details are going to be in the description below. So the first piece that we're going to start with is I'm going to show you how this applies to Jester's Jig from ABRSM Grade 5. So don't be put off for advanced people if this seems too easy, because I will in some of the other videos after that show you how this applies to Grade 8 pieces. And also don't be put off if you're a beginner, because this will apply to everything, scales included. So Jester's Jig, ABRSM Grade 5 2023 to 2024. Take it away, Bob. The number one way that I recommend to learn this and get this all under your fingers so that it feels easy. I did notice in the YouTube comments to my performance that a few people have some challenges with this. It's really easy if you practice it like this. So what you do is you do it in groups of 2, in groups of 3, in groups of 4, and you keep shifting the accents. So I'll show you how this works. And you do it in sort of short bits. So, in the beginning, no more than 1 bar, maybe even half a bar, but I'm going to demonstrate it just with the first bar. So what we can do is we can take the first bar and group it into groups of 2, where we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And what I'm doing is the 1 is super loud and the 2 is super quiet. And you must exaggerate these. And all the loud ones are equally loud and all the quiet ones are equally quiet. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then we can loop it again. 1, back to the beginning of the bar. 1, 2, 1, 2. So very quickly, I'm going to just go through some of the pitfalls that people come across. The first one is that people get impatient. They try and do it too fast, and then they don't exaggerate the loud and quiet. So what they might do is they might start off loud and quiet, but then very quickly, everything just becomes the same level, even if they think it isn't. So they might start 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then as you can hear, everything just becomes the same level. Don't do that. There's no point doing that. The whole point is to make it really loud and really quiet. It is difficult. Everybody struggles with this when they first start to do this, and it's difficult for sometimes months, but it's the most useful practicing technique, because almost immediately, if you practice like this for a few days, you'll just be able to go. It's just going to be that easy. But this is one of those things that I show it to my students. My students go, wow, that's amazing. I can see that really works. And then the following week I say to them, so how did your shifting accent practice go? They go, I didn't do any. Because it's difficult and no one ever feels like this is what they want to do in their practice time. But I'm lazy. I'm fundamentally lazy, and I want to spend as little time as possible practicing. And I guarantee you that if you do short chunks of this every day, and by the way, don't do more than about 10 or 15 minutes of this a day, because this is the only practice I do which is unmusical. It's just technical. You don't want to do too much of this, just 10 or 15 minutes. But if you do this, you will so quickly learn it, and then you're not going to be sitting there endlessly trying to get this under your fingers. So what are some of the other challenges that people have? Going to the loud ones, people can rush them so that they can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, because the loud ones, obviously you have to move your finger a bit quicker. Keep it absolutely in time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, like that. So then we shift the twos so that we start on 2. And we're still playing exactly the same notes. I'm starting in the same place. I'm not missing any notes out. But instead of starting on 1, I'm starting on 2, and the 2 is quiet. So we go 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, loop 2, 1, 2, 1. So now the notes that were quiet are now loud, and the notes that were loud are now quiet. And this means that all your fingers and all the notes take it in turns to have an accent on them. Then we can do it in threes. The first groups of 3 is a bit boring because it's already grouped like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So that's boring. Don't spend too long on that one. Then you shift it and then start with the 3, which is quiet. You go 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So then we shift it to the 2, starting on the 2, which is quiet, and you go 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and then you loop it back. And you want this really even, that all the quiet ones are super quiet. Make sure you really do go super quiet, and all the loud ones are equally loud. Something I was going to say is I think the reason why my students really find this difficult and struggle and find it very challenging is it really exposes 2 of the most common weaknesses in all of my students. And the first one is counting. Everyone hates counting. And really, you want to be able to count the beats of anything that you play. So this is in 12/16, this piece, which for me means that it's in 4. You count 1, 2, 3, 4 in each bar. And at some point, you want to be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and up to speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. This is just something that, in my opinion, everyone needs to do at some point. You once you can do it, you don't keep on doing it. Then you just go back and playing it normally, because you can probably hear that counting somewhere in your mind. And when I'm playing, it's a habit that somewhere deep at the back of my mind, very quietly, is like a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like every good musician does this, but I think most of my students haven't internalized that habit yet. Every professional does this, I guarantee it. So that's a weakness, the counting. And when you do these shifting accents, and let's say I move on to the 4, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And how easy is it to count to 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's so easy that when I'm doing this, I'm not even really thinking about the numbers. It's more like my mouth. It's like my mouth, my tongue and my mouth and my vocal cords have their own muscle memory of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I don't even need to think about it. But I think most of my students, they go 1, 2, and there's all this thinking. And, this is why it's useful, because as musicians, we need to learn how to count effortlessly, because counting is underneath everything that we do. And if you're just playing, and you're not aware where all the beats are, and it all just sort of tumbles along, that's a massive weakness. So basically, number one weakness in my students counting. Shifting accents forces you to count. This is good because it is more difficult. But once you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or let me go to another one, which is way more difficult. If I start on 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, again 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you can probably tell when I do that, I'm using very little of my brain to do that. It's something that becomes automated. This is important that you guys learn how to sort of count in a way that takes less brain space. And the only way you learn to do that is by starting going 1, 2, 3 in a way that feels frustrating, but you'll get there because your brain does not enjoy working hard, and the brain looks for shortcuts and how to make everything feel easier. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that when you do this, it's another one of most of my students' weakest thing, which is reading music. And when you're doing all the shifting accents, you have to actually read the notes quite closely and you have to follow the notes because otherwise you go, what's the next note? It doesn't matter if you can just play normally. And then we do shifting accents with 4 starting on 2, and you go 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Well, you're gonna have to start reading the notes again, otherwise it's too difficult. And yeah, for a lot of people that's frustrating, but that's why you need to do it, because the fact that you are reading the notes and counting will mean that very, very quickly you will know this. You will absolutely know this. You know, I can't emphasize enough how much this is going to help you. And then in bar 4, normally I don't recommend doing shifting accents with 2 hands together, but here you can, in bar 4, you can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then shift that to 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and so on and so on. And because that bar 4 is quite tricky, I found that to be the hardest bar. So yeah, there's that. And then once you learn the whole piece using these shifting accents, I guarantee you it's laughably easy, laughably easy. But you know, you have to do the shifting accents if you want it to feel that easy and even, because there's a lot of bits here that it's going to be tricky to make it even. Anyway, hopefully I've convinced you enough. Okay, so that was me demonstrating shifting accents with Jester's Jig. Here is me demonstrating it with the C.P. Bach solfeggio, which I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This was from ABRSM Grade 6, 2021 to 2022. This one is really worth watching because I go over it in quite a lot of detail. There will be a few things that maybe I didn't quite catch when I was talking about Jester's Jig. So here we go. People who've watched my other videos will know that I have a method called shifting accents. For a long time, I'd never heard anyone else call it by that, but since then, there are teachers out there who do call it shifting accents, and it's a very similar kind of thing. So basically, what we do, we start with very small chunks, like maybe half a bar, 1 bar, maybe even 1 beat. I'm going to start just with bar 1. And what we do, we start with groups of 2 and we go 1, 2, 1, 2, where the 1 is super, super loud and the 2 is super, super quiet. We really want to exaggerate these differences. So we start with the first note, we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Go slowly. Really go slowly in the beginning. Then we shift the accents along. So we still start on the same note. We still start on that E flat, but we start on the 2. So we go quiet, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. This is difficult. Everyone finds this difficult in the beginning. Then you go to groups of 3. So you do 1, 2, 3, where 1 is loud, 2 and 3 are quiet. And you want the quiet ones to be equally quiet, and you want the loud ones to be equally loud. So we then have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Then we shift it along. We start on the 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we start on the 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Then we do groups of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's the boring one. Don't spend long on that one. Then start on 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. If you do this, you're just going to be able to go. This is my go-to way of learning things in a constant stream of notes that are very, very fast. It's such a quick way of getting under the fingers. Now, basically where everyone goes wrong, where I see my students go wrong over and over again, there's a few things. There's an impatience. So say we're doing it in groups of 3, people can get impatient and start going. And you can hear that just there is not that extreme contrast. So take it slower. And you can really hear the difference. It's hard. And when you first start doing it, you might start doing things like, and then go, ah, or just carry on. You'll do things like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and just go, ah. But no, you have to get it right. So, you know, if you have to, slow it right down to something like, and even that might still be too fast in the beginning. So, you know, you might feel like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm rubbish. Just slow it down. The important thing is that you get it right in this kind of loud, quiet, quiet kind of way. Because in the beginning, it will be difficult. And by the way, another way that my students go wrong is they try and do this for memory. So if they can kind of play this slowly by memory, they then try and go 1, 2, 3, 1, and they try and do it for memory. Do not do it for memory. Follow on the page so that you can see loud, quiet, quiet, loud, quiet, quiet, loud, quiet, and you follow on the page. So what this means is that in the beginning, it will be really hard, and you have to think, you've got to think about the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, but you'll find that after a while, if you do this for 10, 15 minutes a day, you'll find that after a certain amount of days, your ear and your fingers will just start going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, da 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 da, and then da 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 da, and you'll start to get an intuitive shortcut. Your brain sort of reorganizes all the neurons, so it goes, I know how to make this easier. And that's the magic moment. That's the magic moment when your brain suddenly kind of gets it under the fingers and goes, oh, it's just this. And without doing that, most people will just spend ages reading and going and thinking about every note. So basically, you know, I was chatting about this with one of my students yesterday because she was saying she never really wants to do this. And I never really feel like, I never have the feeling, oh, what I want to do is shifting accent practice today. But because of my life experience, I know that if I've got, well, even this piece, when I learned this last week, if I want to get it quickly under my fingers, the absolute quickest way is just to do these shifting accents. So then I spend, 5 minutes, because I'm, reasonably good. I can, do groups of 5. Let me go a little slower. So, that's me doing it in groups of 5. It's not too difficult for me, but in the beginning it was really, really difficult. So, I sit down, do the shifting accent practice, and boom, boom. It's just there under my fingers without that. And I remember, when I started looking at this a week ago, it's because of the way that the hands switch over. I didn't just sit down and go like that. I was like, oh, it's this, and then that. I didn't just sit down and immediately, boom, play it. It's not sight readable for me. So this shifting accent practice is so quick and easy to get it under the fingers. And as I said to my student, would you rather just spend 10 minutes every day doing something that feels uncomfortable and a little bit annoying and not that much fun? Or would you rather spend hours and hours sort of slowly building up the speed and just getting frustrated at how long it takes to speed it up? I know which I would rather do, and that's why I do the shifting accent practice, although sometimes I really do have to give myself a push. But you're just going to have to take it on trust, on faith from me, that if you sit down and practice in that way, you're going to radically speed up how you learn it. And another place where people go wrong, they'll try and go like this. And just do a giant chunk. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just work on a very, very small bit. It may be even just this. And then. And I was doing it with, I think it'll be clearer on the second beat. So here's the second beat. And then shift it in threes, and then in threes I loop it just to save time. And then groups of 4. That's the boring one. Start on the 4. Start on the 3. Now, the point of this is that then you'll very quickly be able to go. And also, I do this instead of metronome work. Metronomes are there really to sort of get a very, very even taka, 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 taka. Now, if you do this kind of practice where you're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, you're going to get that evenness. And it makes every single finger equally loud and equally quiet. So it's good to fix when the fourth finger is a little bit weak and a little bit muddy. So, I can't recommend this enough. You have to do this if you want to learn this just easily and effortlessly. I say effortlessly, it's obviously a little bit of effort, but if it feels effortful to you, you're going too fast. It's going to take a little bit of focus and concentration in the beginning, but ideally you want to be going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. And do I look like I'm working really hard? If I do this, or let me try and take it even faster. That starts to become effort. Don't do that. Just be patient. As I was saying in one of the tutorials I tried to record yesterday that then went totally wrong, impatience is the enemy of anybody who's learning a musical instrument. You feel it in the body. There's this feeling of impatience. If you don't recognize that there's a feeling of impatience and then just go, and you get hooked by it and it becomes compulsive, this is why you'll find it takes way longer to learn something. If you feel that impatience, you've just got to go, I feel it, I see you, and you just slow down. That takes a lot of discipline. That's not effort, but discipline and intention. Anyway, that's for a completely different video. Yeah, so once you've got, now this might seem like, oh my God, but it'll take me forever to learn that piece if I do that. Bear in mind that once you can do this, it's not massively different to then do this. And then it's the same thing here. This is different. And then it's all the same there. You've got a new section here. And by the way, do practice this as well. Whoops. And if you do all the shifting accents, and it's really good for all the evenness as well, so you don't just go, and so on and so on. Then you've got the same as the beginning here in G minor, and by that time you'll realise, oh, I can already play all of that. Then it happens again in bar 17 in F minor, and you'll go, oh, I can play all of that. And then it comes back again at the end. So, you'll find that once you do all that work in the first bar, then the second bar becomes easier, then the third and fourth bar are the same, and then even though bar 5 is completely different, your ear is still going to start to get used to the kind of way that you're doing this. Basically, it just massively speeds up how you're going to learn it. Okay, so that was me demonstrating it with C.P. Bach Solfeggio. In this next clip, I'm demonstrating it with a piece called Caballos Españoles. This is one of the ABRSM alternative grade 8 pieces. It's been an alternative piece for a few years now. This piece is so difficult to learn. It's quite tricky for grade 8. And in this particular clip, I'm showing how you can apply shifting accent practice to one of the bits that people find the most challenging. So here we go. The other way that I would use to learn this is every time you've got a whole load of semiquavers or 16th notes all in a row, I would do shifting accents. If I'm just looking at whole beats with runs of semiquavers or 16th notes, here the beat 4 of bar 38 and then the next 3 beats, I can do shifting accents. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, where 1 is super loud, 2 is super quiet. And I'm making sure I've got the right fingers. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And do make it that slow. Then I'm going to shift it. So I'm starting on the same note, but I'm starting on the 2, which is quiet. So it's 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then I would loop it as well. Then I do it in threes, so the 1 is loud, 2 and 3 are quiet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and I'm looping it. Then you do it in fours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't start that fast though. Then start on the 4 for 1, sorry, the wrong way. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so in this clip, I'm applying it to the Bach Fantasia, which is from ABRSM Grade 8 2021 to 2022. Actually, I think in this clip, I'm only applying it to a very tiny bit of the left hand, which is just tidying up some unevenness. Off the top of my head, it's something that sounds like that, or mine. I can't remember what key it was in. This was years ago, but basically, it's how you apply it to that kind of thing. So actually, this is really useful for beginners as well, because beginners will have unevenness in all these kinds of things. So here we go, Bach Fantasia. Now, there's another thing that's worth bearing in mind. This piece requires super evenness of fingers. So the arpeggio is not too bad, but you must practice. So that's really hard to make that left hand even. If you're not careful, it just turns into, you know, especially 3, 4, 5. To have 3, 4, 5 nice and crisp and even is very, very hard. So something that I suggest, this is my go-to way of fixing things that are uneven. Take these 5 notes and then do them with shifting accents, where you go loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, in groups of 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this is great for getting finger independence in your 4th and 5th finger. And for most people, it's when you do the accent on the 4th finger. So 1, 3, 5, 2, 4. That's where the beauty of this is. And don't just go, it's got to be loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud. Really exaggerate this. Then do it in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And make sure you exaggerate the difference between loud and quiet. Then do it in groups of 4. And then by the time you've done all that, in all the different permutations, you will have, and you'll have this beautiful even, rather than which a lot of people are just going to have an inevitable blurriness between fingers 3, 4 and 5. And there's loads of places through this piece where you will probably need to do that kind of practicing just to make everything nice and even. And then in this next clip, I'm basically applying this to just a very short segment. I think this was just the first bar of Chala Head Chala from Dragon Ball Z. As an English person, I want to call this Dragon Ball Z, but that's going to make me really uncool. Not that I was really cool anyway, but anyway. So Dragon Ball Z, I show you how you apply this technique just to tidy up a little bit of it. But there's several bars that you can apply this to. Anyway, here we go. Something else I recommend, I say this in what feels like almost every single video, shifting accents. But shifting accents are like, let's take the opening notes, which are like a stream of semiquavers or 16th notes. And shifting accent is like, we do this in different groupings. I'll start with groups of 2. I'll start with 1. The 1 is loud, the 2 is super quiet. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to play exactly the same notes, starting with the same note, but I'm going to start with 2, where 2 is quiet, 1 is loud, which means that the notes that were quiet are now loud, and the notes that were loud are now quiet. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then I'll do it in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, which is kind of like how they're already arranged. Then I do them in groups of 3, starting on 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Then I start, then groups of 3 starting on 3, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and so on and so on. Then you can do groups of 4. Starting with it on 1 is really boring, and you don't want to do that too much because that's already how it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then we can start with it on 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Let me do that again. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you get this evenness, because and then the last clip is me applying this to a very, very tricky Trinity Grade 8 piece from 2023. I think this is the most recent Trinity one. This is such a tricky piece to play. The notes aren't too bad, but to get it even is a nightmare. And so shifting accent practice is absolutely essential here to get this kind of evenness. So here we go. The number one thing that I recommend to do when you're playing constant streams of semiquavers or 16th notes, I think they are. So constant stream of 16th notes or semiquavers, anything that's fast, that just has lots of continuous notes. I can do this for the first 2 beats. I like doing this thing called shifting accents. So what I do is I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And then I can't really continue from there because suddenly the note, the rhythm changes there. But then what I can do, I can loop that. So I can, so what, basically I'm starting on the first note. 1 is super loud, 2 is super quiet, and I really exaggerate. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now, I can start the other way around, start on 2. I'm starting on the same note, but this time I'm starting on 2. So the first note is quiet. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't rush this. You might need to go slower, like 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So then I could loop it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then basically every time it goes round. So if I start with a 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, starting with a 2 means that the notes that were loud are now quiet, and the notes that were quiet are now loud. And it's really good at basically getting your finger independence going so that everything sounds really, really even. Then you do it in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Not that fast though. And then start with 3. Say 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so on, working your way through. Then I can start to do that from the 3rd beat of bar 1, from where you've got the G, E, D. And I can do that basically all the way down until somewhere at the bottom of the page, or maybe, but yeah, I think somewhere near the bottom of that page is where you can do that all the way through to, with a constant stream of 16th notes or semiquavers. So if I go from the halfway through beat 3, and let's say that I decide to do this in groups of 3, starting on 1, I can go 1, start again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But in the beginning, I recommend that you do this in very, very short sections, because it's really about building muscle memory. And so the shorter the sections are, the better. So let's say that I just do... it's a bit too big a chunk still, but let's go from that same place until the end of that line. So in groups of 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now I'm going too quickly there because really I was kind of cheating and not using all the same exact fingering and hand distribution that I would do in the original. But you basically do it using all the proper fingering. It's incredibly difficult, But once you've done that, and especially focus on how your fourth finger feels when it has the strong accents, because then if you do that enough, you're just going to have, instead of and it's all just a mess, you can have something more like taka 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 taka, taka 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 taka. Everything's just going to be much more taka 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 taka, which is the key to making the sound good, and that's really not easy. Okay, so that was shifting accent practice. I hope that this was useful for you. I have found this to be life-changing. Some of my students have found it to be life-changing. When I say some of my students, it's because not all my students have the motivation and the discipline to make themselves do this, because it really does require getting out of your comfort zone and making yourself do something that you don't always quite feel like doing. But to the students who have done it and have made it part of their practice, it's completely life-changing. And I can always hear when they haven't done it. Straight away, even my good students who regularly do shifting accent practice, they'll come one week and I'll be like, "Ooh, that's a bit scratty. You haven't done shifting accent practice this week, have you?" And they'll be like, "No, I haven't done it this week." And so, it's the kind of thing that I can immediately tell when people haven't done it. It's absolutely life-changing. So anyway, please do subscribe and like and click the bell icon and all that good stuff to support the channel. But also, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's lots of tutorials and performances on the way to do with ABRSM and Trinity, and perhaps diploma stuff, and all kinds of other pieces and tutorials and psychological stuff. But also, a few months ago, LCM, London College of Music exams, they sent me the whole syllabus for the electronic keyboard, all of the books. They are brilliant. So I went and bought myself a couple of keyboards. They're like a range of keyboards where you have drums. I loved learning this. Now, at the moment, I'm trying to learn a few of the grade 8 pieces so that I can demonstrate it to you guys and do a very, very full review of electronic keyboard, which involves some improvisation. And so, like a lot of the time, when I review things like the Trinity graded books, all this kind of stuff, and I complain that there's too much pop music in it, not enough classical, what I'd like to see is that if there are people out there who really aren't interested in classical music, I think that I would like to recommend things like the LCM electronic keyboard exam, where you get to play very much pop music, jazz, rock and stuff on the piano. It's really good, and you improvise. I love it. And I don't only play classical music, I play all kinds of stuff. And also they sent me all of their jazz exam books. And a lot of you may not know that LCM actually do jazz grades all the way through up to grade 8, unlike ABRSM, who only do them up until grade 5. So I'm going to be reviewing that as well and doing tutorials to help you with jazz LCM. So anyway, lots of good stuff coming your way. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, I do have space in the studio for more online students at the moment. So if you're interested, do get in touch. Details in the description. See you the next time. Go do some practicing or go watch more of my videos. Take care. Goodbye.